Hey everyone. So I noticed that my last video where I played a lot of Maelstrom difficulty on max difficulty with a veteran ended up getting quite a bit more coverage than is typical, considering that I only have 12 subscribers and it's getting, 30, 40, 50 views, all that sort of stuff. So I figured that, maybe people were actually curious about what a Maelstrom veteran build actually looks like. So I decided that I would just do a quick one today and just do a real breakdown of all this. So I was going to show you what I'm running here. So this is my talents tree. And where the heck did the button go to view the whole tree? I can't remember where the whole tree went. Ah, there it is. V. Looks like this. But we'll just go through it step by step so you can see it. And if you want to see any of that, pause on any of it. But this is the path that I took. So I went close order drill. So 33% toughness damage reduction the more allies are in my coherency. That's just nice. Then I replenished 10% of my toughness on elite and specialist enemy kills, and a further 20% toughness over 10 seconds. That's really nice because this build is specifically built for taking down specialists. My crowd clear is not amazing, and that's usually where I bust out my force sword, or my power sword. Then we go stamina boost, get some extra stamina, because this build does rely pretty heavily on stamina, and we are pretty tight on points here, so and you're going to see why at the end of this. Then just flat toughness, obviously. Then you go in the crack grenade. This is really, really essential for keeping these around. You want to save your grenades specifically for dealing with bulwarks, the bulwarks and crushers, and also monstrosities. Basically, outside of that, you don't really use your grenades. You want to keep them around for when you've got really heavily armored enemies, and you do not want to. You don't want to waste all of your ammo on that, because while this build can take down really big enemies really, really fast, especially if you're getting those headshots, you're gonna be hard pressed to do a ton to the crushers without dumping like an entire magazine, which just feels like a bit of a waste of ammo when you can just like toss a grenade and walk away. Then I go health boost. Then right over to here we go melee damage. This is just how I get into this tree. I didn't really need the melee damage because I'm using a power sword, but again, tight on points. Agile engagement. So killing an enemy with a melee attack grants 25% range damage, and killing an enemy with ranged attack grants 25% melee damage. Because you're mixing and matching your kill style pretty rapidly, that's really, really nice. And then we get close and kill. This just is helping your allies move faster, helps you move faster. I hate slow. I hate being slow. It makes me like, I started out this game playing as a psyker, and now going back to playing psyker feels a little bit rough because I am the slowest person in the crowd. So if you can speed up your psychers or speed up your other slow people, even by a little bit, like your ogrins, they will be very happy, I think. Get some extra critical hit chance in there. We're going to skip leave no one behind, and then we go into grenadier so that I can just carry an extra grenade, because you'd be surprised how fast you'll go through those grenades on higher difficulties. And leave no one behind. You already revive people pretty fast, and you're going to see why I ditched this. Because I don't need it with this build. Because we're going with infiltrate. And infiltrate is really, really nice, and I don't see enough people using it because it makes you stealthed. It replenishes all your toughness. It makes you stealthed for 8 seconds, which is longer than the period of time that you get for a zealot, for the zealot stealth. And it makes you move faster. And when you leave your stealth, it suppresses all your nearby enemies, and attacking makes you leave stealth. And also, coupled with that, is that we're going to put on low profile so that the moment you leave stealth, for the next 10 seconds, people just aren't going to shoot at you. You might have 1 or 2 people and little scrubs that'll notice you. But this makes it so that you can do stealth to do various things. And you're going to see why I take this along with my weapon choice. But for now, what you can know is you do not need leave no one behind. Because if any of your friends ever go down, you can always just stealth, walk over to them, and revive them. It does not matter what situation they're in, you can always get that revive. You're more reliable than a goddamn Ogren when it comes to reviving people with this. Then we get our melee boost. Again, that's just because I need this. I need duck and dive. So you get your stamina back when you avoid ranged attacks by dodging, sprinting, or sliding. And because we're all about stamina usage, anything that can get you back stamina is really, really, really helpful. So we're going to jump over here. Suppression boost. That's because we're not using a bolter. We're not using a plasma gun. So the suppression is really nice. It'll stagger hordes. It'll suppress people. It'll make shots miss you. And when you're dealing with gunners and stuff like that, it is really nice. It'll keep you alive. And I'm going to get further into this middle tree once I explain this one. We go range damage boost so that you just get extra range damage. Obviously, always nice. Get extra weak spot damage. You're always going to go for those headshots. You do not want to be doing body shots as much as physically possible. Deadshot, plus 25% critical chance and plus 60% sway reduction while using your ranged weapons alternate fire. But you lose 0.75 stamina per second and an additional 0.25 per shot. And this is the big thing that makes you burn through stamina like crazy. It doesn't matter though, because you're going to be doing snapfire and your time to kill is so incredibly fast that it just does not matter. Absolutely does not matter. Then we get into giving yourself extra ammo, which is really nice because we're gonna be burning through some ammo, even though this build does not have ammo problems like other veterans do. I don't think it does anyways, because you're gonna have such a large quantity of ammo that even when you pick up just those small little ammo packs, they're gonna give you like 110, 120 ammo every single time. And that's 2 magazines for us, and we're going to be able to do a lot with a single magazine. Next, you got the superiority complex. So it's just 15% base damage to elites. You're going to be dealing with elites a lot on those higher difficulties, so you always want to have as much damage as you can put out on them as possible. Then down the middle tree. So we're doing for the Emperor. Your combat ability gives you and your allies in coherency 10% melee damage and 10% ranged base damage for 5 seconds. So anytime you go stealth, your teammates are going to be better at clearing things out around you while you make your way to wherever you need to be while you're stealth. You're doing tactical awareness. Combat ability cooldown reduced by 6 seconds on specialist enemy kills. Which since you're taking down specialists all the time, you're gonna get your stealth ability back very quickly. You're gonna almost never be without it as long as you are getting those kills. Then we're going Iron Will. Reduce your toughness damage if you're above 75% toughness. And because we're regenerating toughness all the time, because we're going to be constantly marking enemies, it meshes very, very well. Then we just give ourselves a bit more toughness. It's always nice. Then we're doing rending strikes. This kind of helps when you're running into those big armored enemies. You're out of grenades. Let's say you're out of grenades. You're low on ammo. You're trying to conserve. This is kind of the thing that lets you take out a bulwark in a reasonable amount of time, or a bulwark or a crusher in a reasonable amount of time, or any armored individual in a reasonable amount of time with a good melee weapon. Because your melee weapon on this one, you can kind of pick and choose whatever you want. I'm a power sword boy all the way. I love power sword. Then we're maxing out the focus target tree. And so this is... A lot of people like to go over here to the weapon specialist, and a lot of people love marksman's focus. I think this one just works better for us because we're going to be taking out individual targets over and over and over and over, and you never have to wait for it to recharge. You just always got it. It's really, really nice. So you gain focus stacks every 2 seconds, and it stacks 5 times. When you tag an enemy, that's, for me, that I have that mapped to clicking down the middle of my mouse wheel. I can't remember if that's standard or not, but that makes it quick for me to do. So when you tag an enemy, it applies the focus target stacks to them, causing them to take a 4% additional damage for each stack, and it resets your focus target stacks to 1. These are going to build up really fast. So you're just going to want to, every single time you see a big enemy, always tag it. This helps you. This helps your teammates. Even if you don't get the kill, you still reap all the benefits because this bonus damage is universal. So you put that on somebody, and now it's taking potentially, for right now, that's 20% extra damage from all sources. But we're going to also take focus fire, which takes it up to 8 stacks. So you're going to move that up another 12% for 32 stacks. Yeah. Then we got target down. And then, so target down. If an enemy you have tagged dies, you replenish 5% of your toughness and 5% stamina for each stack of focus target applied to you and your allies in coherency. So this is going to get you back a lot of your stamina, because you're going to get 40% of your stamina back every single time that you kill an elite enemy, provided you have max stacks. Even if you're only applying 1 or 2 stacks in, and that's typically kind of what happens in Maelstrom difficulty. There's so many elites and specialist enemies out there that you're going to be tagging people left and right. But this is going to keep your stamina up, which is going to fuel focus fire, which is going to fuel Deadshot. And because our weapon is going to have some crazy recoil, granted, it's controllable recoil once you get to know the gun that we're going to be using. This is really, really nice. So this is just going to keep your toughness pretty full. This is going to keep your stamina pretty damn full. And then we're going to get redirect fire. If an enemy you have tagged dies, it grants 1.5% damage for each stack of focus target applied to you and your allies in coherency, and it lasts 10 seconds. So that's just a bonus blanket damage for you and your team every time you take down a tagged target. So this build is all revolving around tagging targets and just eliminating them. As many as you can physically do, as fast as physically possible, because it's just going to obliterate things. Your time to kill on this build is insane. I think it outpaces bolters. It can't really outpace a plasma gun, because a plasma gun one-shots everything. But my ammo management, my longevity, my ability to survive, my ability to horde clear, my ability to just be better at the game is really, really, really high with this build. It's almost laughable how easy the game sort of becomes when you run this build, because you're never going to be dying if you're playing smart. You're never going to get backed into a corner. If you do get backed into a corner, you can always stealth. You can just get away. You can just always you can just make it so they're not targeting you. And you can make them kind of push out of the corner. And then when you think you've got enough space to re-engage, you can start hammering down on them. And that's especially effective because we are going to be focusing on shooting people in the back as much as physically possible. And you'll see why now. Because I'm going to go to my loadout. My loadout here, this you can kind of do whatever the hell you want, right? Currently, right now, I've got a really nice power sword. I ground for this, so I've got my Power Cycler 2. That's really all you need on a power sword for it to get really good. Currently, I've got Rampage. I'm still this is not a fully optimized power sword by any means, because it is one of those things where I'm still grinding for all the abilities to put on it that I want to. But this was a great 378 roll. That's 2 points off max. So it can't get much better than this as a base weapon. So I'm saving this weapon for when I get the abilities that I want. But you can do whatever you want. Assault chainswords work great with this. The sapper shovel, a lot of people really, really, really love the sapper shovel these days. The Aatrox axe is pretty awesome. I think it's called the Akatan axe or something like that. Is really, really good. But I am a power sword guy because I think it's still the veteran weapon that has the best potential for crowd clear. And you're going to see this and say, oh yeah, but Gadget, you got fucking Power Cycler 2. Of course it's amazing. Yeah, you got to grind for it. It sucks. But once you have it, then you never have to do it again. You can apply it to every single Force Sword you ever draw. And realistically, you're going to draw a Power Cycler more often than people make it seem. And then, once you actually have it, it's going to be laughable how often it appears. I don't know if that's something in the game or what the hell is happening, but the moment you get Power Cycler 2 once, it just seems to show up on everything. So then, this is the crux of our build here, though. We are going to be running the Columnus 5 Infantry Autogun. The things you really, really, really want to prioritize on this is you want your damage to be pretty high. Like, it's okay if it's a little lower. It's fine. But if you can hit this 75 number, that's really nice. But the things that you really want to look for are stability and mobility and stopping power. Those are your 3 priorities. There's a reason I'm not using this one, because it's got lower damage, it's got lower stability, it's got higher stopping power and better ammo, but it's got lower mobility as well. So 2 out of the 3 things that I'm looking for there are kind of meh. But this is the best one I had so far. This one actually used to be better than this one, but after I changed the perks, the game decided that I chose worse perks, which I don't believe I have. My time to kill is insane. So, this is not perfect. This is not exactly what I would want. You definitely want the bonus damage to Maniacs. The bonus damage to Maniacs is pretty nice. I could have upgraded that to 4, but that would have left me lacking the stuff down here. And then the plus 10% damage to elites. These ones really I would put them into whatever enemies you think you're having the most trouble with. I like Maniacs because that's a big chunk of them. If you can blanket like elites or blanket specialists or something like that, that's really nice. If you don't want to use your grenades to take out the big boys, the crushers, the bulwarks. Actually, bulwarks are fine because literally you're gonna kill them so fast regardless. As long as you're not shooting them straight in the shield, you're going to be wrecking them super quick. Excuse me. But Maniacs, there's a lot of Maniacs. That's a good one to have. And your time to kill on those is going to cut it down really fast. This lets you get rid of your mutants really quick. This lets you get rid of ragers pretty damn fast. I can't remember all the other things that count as Maniacs, but even if it was just those two, it'd be worth it because those guys come in hordes on Maelstrom. They always show up. There's 8 mutants, 10 fucking ragers. They're all coming at you. You need to be able to just go and just pick them off one at a time. And you're gonna be this makes it so ragers are taking 6 bullets to kill, and you're dumping those out so fast. As long as you're putting them in their head, they're gonna go away really quickly. Then we've got but this is where it really becomes important. You are going to want max raking fire, and this is where the stealth really comes into play. If you've got a really big enemy that you're going after, it's best if you can shoot them in the weak spot, so their head or their back. Their back also counts as a weak spot. If you did not know this, you won't get the yellow hit marker showing up, but it is counting as a weak spot. It's just not as big of a weak spot as the head. That's why the head is always giving you those critical notices, but the back also counts. And this makes it so any of the bullets that are hitting them in the back, which does apply to a full 180-degree cone out from their back. So you can shoot them straight from the side, and that counts as hitting them from the back. So that will also activate raking fire. But basically, as long as they've slightly turned away from you, that's 37.5% extra damage that you're going to be dumping into them, and that is super significant. And then you're going to top that off with Dum Dum. So literally anytime that close range on Veteran, I haven't figured out exactly the range that it is, but it's not that close. Close range feels like they can still be 20, 30 feet away from you, and it still counts as close range. You don't have to be point blanking them with Dum Dum for it to activate. You can see there are mods you can download to see when your stuff is activating. I don't have any of those currently on. I just have a feel for when it's happening because I know my time to kills. So yeah, Dum Dum, amazing perk. That's just gonna give you 27.5% extra damage on close range. And when things are rushing you down in hordes, you're going to see that all the time. In your more lax gameplay, you're not going to need this. Do you need this to run a rank 3? No, because you're not going to let people get that close. But this is when shit hits the fan, Dum Dum's going to activate. Raking fire is going to activate. You're going to be raking through people so fast, it's not even funny. So, that is the crux of our build. You're going to want to use the Columnus Mark V infantry autogun. Not a lot of people use this thing, but holy crap, it's such a diamond in the rough. Just trust me on this one. If you want to see gameplay of this build in action, I will link the video that convinced me to do this video in the first place, which is just gameplay of that, and you can see what it looks like in an actual Maelstrom scenario. Granted, that Maelstrom scenario, me and my team, we botch it at the end. We literally botch it at the door to leave. We make it all the way all the way to the end. Everything is super cool, and we fuck it up at the very end. So, spoiler alert, but you will still see how well this deals with everything, how much better I am at surviving in those scenarios than everybody else around me. Watching my Ogren go down like 10 times in a single game, and then you go down maybe once, maybe twice, it feels pretty gratifying. So, on to Curios. There's reason for me to think that like a mix of toughness, wounds, and health would be maybe better, but because we're so stamina reliant, I went for this route. So this is +2 to max stamina. This also gives me sprint efficiency, which is really big. I've kind of, as I fiddled around with this a bit more and more and more, I really found that the sprint efficiency helped me always have stamina available to use on my perk. I can't remember what it's called now, but it's the focus fire perk that burns your stamina while you're firing. That sprint efficiency really just means you have 15% more sprint. You have 15% more stamina to spend once you actually do make it to engagement. This means that you're not spending as much time having to walk around to restore all your stamina. You can actually use it to get out of situations and still have enough to finish people off very reliably and be always on target. You definitely want that 4% combat ability regeneration, and then you also definitely want that stamina regeneration. The sprint efficiency is kind of your play around with slot. Also, the +2 max stamina, that's also kind of a play around with slot. If you feel like you need more toughness or more health, you can fuck around with that, and it's really good. So there is a bit of flex in there, but the two that you cannot do without are the 4% combat ability regeneration and the 12% stamina regeneration. That's why you're going to see it on all of these. Next, I went for plus wounds. You definitely want at least +1 wounds if you're going to be going after Maelstrom content. You do not want to be the guy that only walks into Maelstrom with 2 wounds available to him. You are going to hamper your team so hard, because the moment you go down once, if you go down again, you're dead. That 3rd wound gives you so much more room to play. But again, we have that 4% combat ability regeneration and 12% stamina regeneration. This is, again, not a perfect curio, but it was close enough. Also, this gave me damage resistance against bombers, which, if you didn't know, on Maelstrom, there will sometimes be an effect, and you should always check what is going on your Maelstrom difficulties, because sometimes, and this is going to be the ones that you want to avoid as a veteran because it's going to be very hard for you, sometimes there's ones that say no ammo pickups. And if you don't have ammo pickups, you're going to suffer pretty hard. And because I didn't take the talent, I did not take the talent that gives me ammo back on kill, my sustainability in that regard is not very high. So you're going to want to avoid those. That's about the only thing that I would say. I wouldn't say that this build can't do it. It's just yeah, you're going to run the entire thing with a power sword and hope you make it out, but God, you would be so much better off if you were just playing a zealot at that point. But anyways, right, to get back around to the bombers, on certain Maelstrom difficulties, you will sometimes see an effect called Enhanced Blitz. And what Enhanced Blitz does is, as far as I have seen it, it means that when you get hit by a bomber, it just does such an absurdly high amount of damage that it will one-shot just about everything unless you have some damage resistance against it. What this does is, if I'm at max health or pretty close, it will leave me with that 15% damage resistance will leave me with like 10% of my health left, and I will not go down. I won't go down. I'll be able to rescue the team. It won't kill me outright like it will do to a lot of people. So yeah, that's just a little extra bonus. I mean, if you can get some damage resistance against bombers, damage resistance against gunners is amazing. Because yeah, gunners and bombers are probably your biggest threats. Because a lot of people don't appreciate it if you are out there exploding the bombers with bullets when they're getting close. You kind of want to always do the, if you can, always do the shove away method so that they don't hurt anybody. Because oftentimes you will have your zealot see a bomber and be like, oh, I got this, and sprint towards them. Meanwhile, it's like, oh, well, if they hadn't sprinted towards them, you could have taken them out with bullets, and then everybody would have been safe guaranteed. But they're going to make the more slightly risky maneuver, and you don't want to botch that job for them, especially when there's enhanced blitz and one wrong step can kill people instantly. And finally, I've got another one that's max stamina. This is, again, 4% combat ability regeneration. This one only has 12% sprint efficiency, which was just one of the things that came on it, but I wanted to put the ability regeneration and the stamina regeneration on there. So I'll take the minus 3%. I'm still getting an extra 27% sprint efficiency out of this, and that's plenty. You could go for more. It would be fine, but you should prioritize other stuff. And there are degrees of flexibility to this if you want to play around with it, test some stuff out. And if I've missed anything, or if you think that my build could be made better after this whole breakdown, please leave it down in the comments. If you liked this, if you want to see some of my other builds, I can break those down for you, because I do have a Maelstrom. I do have Maelstrom ready Zealot, which is also a little bit weird and out of the norm. And I also have Maelstrom ready Psyker. I think the only one that I don't have really Maelstrom ready is probably my Ogryn. My Ogryn can do damnation. I really just wouldn't trust it in Maelstrom. It's not fine-tuned enough. I just haven't spent enough time with Ogryn. But yeah, if you would like to see those other builds, please like this video, subscribe. I do a lot of Darktide content on here because I really love this game. And hell, I do tons of games. Granted, it's all unedited footage, but if you just want to chill out with me and watch some good gameplay, that's what I do. So yeah, please let me know if my build needs any improvement, or if you can think of anything that I'm missing, or ways to take this in a different direction and make it better or different. I'm always open to change. But for now, I think that I've kind of hit the nail on the head for this one. So, yeah, thanks everybody for watching, and have a good day. Bye.